Before I start this episode, I'd like to pay a quick tribute to Brent Hines, formerly of Mastodon. Mastodon are easily one of my favorite metal bands. I still remember watching them live all the way back in 2007 at the Dubai Desert Rock, and yeah, I never quite got it back then, but post that I think they released Crack the Sky, and I think I've listened to that album back to front I don't know how many times over the last 15 odd years. Brent's guitars I think played a vital part of the entire Mastodon sound and will be sorely missed on any future material that they put out. It's been a tough month for metalheads, first with Ozzy Osbourne passing away and now Brent Hines. They've left us with some great music to listen to. Rest in power, Brent Hines. Rest in power. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trendcrusher podcast. I'm Peter K. This episode should have been out a few days earlier. I got caught up with life. Anyways, Showmik Das, aka Obliterator from Khnvm, is back on the podcast. We had a great chat a couple of years ago, and when I saw that their new album Cosmocrator is going to be out soon, I hit him up and yeah, we had a great chat. But before we get into that chat, I'd like to play a track by an upcoming album. This is not your run-of-the-mill black metal. This is sci-fi black metal. It's Imperialist with their album Prime, which is going to be out next week. Here's the track from it, Starstorm. And that was Imperialist with Starstorm. Do check them out. Their album Prime is out next week. Link as always in the show notes. Now on to my chat with Showmik from Khnvm. Hey Showmik, welcome back to the podcast.
Hey man, thanks for inviting me in this sunny Sunday from Berlin. It's been always an honor to be here.
Yeah, and coincidentally, it's actually a sunny day all the way here in Mumbai also. And like after a week where of like heavy rains, we're seeing a sunny day. So I'm glad the weather is very similar. But I say welcome back
Nice.
because
Yes.
this is your second appearance on the podcast. We last time spoke a couple of years ago. And when I
Mm.
saw the announcement of your upcoming album, Cosmocrator, I thought it's definitely important to get you back on the podcast and kind of catch up on what's been happening over the last couple of years.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really enjoyed the last conversation with you. Also, like it was talking about different aspects of life, music, philosophy, and stuff. So it's always a pleasure to have this kind of conversation and also record it so that we can listen to it later on and like, oh shit, we talked about this and that. It's really pretty nice.
So let's start off, right? And just to kind of get a check on how things have been with you. Uh, we're talking
Mm.
like a month away from the release of Cosmocrator. And
Yes.
I
Yes,
know
yes.
you've been putting up since I follow you on social media that you've been working on this for a while now. How does it feel now that you have everything ready for release? You're doing promotions, you're doing interviews. How does it feel?
Um, it's a mixed feeling to be honest. So uh, we recorded this one and it was lying on my desk for like I don't know 6 months or 8 months because we were searching for a proper label to release and stuff. But fortunately, unfortunately, in many ways, like we had to like postpone the releases because we were not happy with the deals what we were getting. Um, then yeah, testimony. We reached out to testimony, and it was a good negotiation and stuff. So we were happy in both ways how we want to continue. So I'm really happy that it's getting out, and it's also exciting that months of creation, months of hard work and stuff is coming and seeing the light. So it's a mixed feeling of struggle plus so much of happiness because okay, I'm finally getting this album out.
So I think I know I wanted to talk to you about this later, but since you brought it up, right? Tell me about like getting signed back to testimony again, right? I mean,
Mhm.
definitely a huge push is from the PR perspective. I can see I have an album. I got the preview copy like a month in advance. I had a
Mhm.
chance to listen to it. I'm seeing like videos and stuff like that. How important is that for you in like 2025? And again, considering this is your like fourth release, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, everyone has their own way of kind of dealing with these things. Like metal, how you want to navigate a metal band in 2025. Everyone has their own ideology and philosophy, and or like own plans. I might say something that people won't like, but that's fine because it's my way of kind of, or my view of metal scene and like how this industry is working in 2025. Also, a disclaimer: Khnvm is not that kind of like a bigger bands and stuff, so it's not all generalized, but it's kind of my perspective basically. 2025 metal bands, industries, how you want to strategize your plan and stuff. All it's very important and very much leaned into this marketing thing. Um, Obviously, a peer, a good peer, really helps you to push in terms of getting views and like more listeners and audience and stuff. Um, but good label also is like kind of gives you how can I say extra push. like you have someone to talk with if they are like caring to the bands. I mean, I'm not sure. So far what I have, I think Testimony Records is very professional and like kind of caring towards the bands. They really want to talk, like make a inbuilt relationship, like in-person relationship. So this actually helps in the whole process of putting out the music. And I think right now, music is mostly being viewed in the sense of like you need to see something rather than listening to stuff. Things have changed. Like maybe people are seeing more contents and stuff, and they, to be honest, I don't actually like to um, kind of name music or as my content. This is something I will contradict with a lot of people. I know in the business perspective, music is your content, but I really want to put this thing as an art and stuff. Content can be and also art, but uh, music is something different. So, anyways, coming back to the point, it's really important. It helps the bands to have or like to put a quantifiable goal that you want to reach, and PR, like it's a whole package. The label can help you out to go like beyond what you can imagine slowly. Like it's not necessarily it will be in 1 or 2 years. For me, I think I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years, so it's fine.
Okay, and I want to add another point because I noticed that again on this release you're gonna have it available on vinyl, also cassette, and it's a pretty cool blue cassette. As
Mhm.
someone who kind of grew up listening to music on
Yeah,
cassettes, it's really awesome, and I think you can kind
yeah.
of relate to it. And I think
Mhm.
that is another aspect. My son just passed by, but
Ah,
that's also interesting, right? Is that I
mhm,
think I can't find an actual quote for it right now, but I was
mhm,
having a chat with a friend who was saying that, while vinyl has made a comeback and everyone's kind of consuming music on that, he believes he
mhm,
read an article that actually CDs are also going to make a comeback. And that's a very
mhm.
interesting trend, right? Where, you see a lot of this. What's your kind of, what's your view as an artist? What you've seen?
Mhm. I mean, if so, if you completely neglect the streaming services, so the only way of music we to consume the music we had was CDs. Ultra rich people, or like from my countryside, I think that people who had money, they could afford these vinyl gramophone players and stuff, so they had their vinyls and stuff. Cassettes was like for everyone in all sorts of family. There was a cassette player in like in the early 90s. I've been like listening to these things, so I have a very fond relationship with this cassette thing. And when Thomas like kind of asked me like let's do a cassette and stuff, I was like, Thomas is the owner of, or like the CEO of Professor. Sorry, I think you should cut this one out. I think some mistakes in information. So Thomas is the owner of Testimony Records, which is a part of Prophecy Records. So this is like two um, parent and child company basically. So anyways, so when Thomas wrote to me, or like we talked about this, about the cassette and stuff, and so I'm like, hey man, let's bring it up. It will be like very few, like 50 copies, or like 100 copies or something like this, but it will be like a rare collectible, let's say. So this is in a form of an object that you can hold your music, that is the creations, that frequencies in your mind has been transformed or captured in a box or a circle disc. So it's kind of a surreal feeling that, okay, you are holding creation, like as an artist perspective, basically.
Yeah, and I think from just to add from the other perspective as a listener, right? it's, while there's nostalgia, I feel as someone who's still on streaming platforms sits and listens to a full album, it's nice to have
Mhm.
lyrics and things like that. Which also kind of brings
Oh
me to the
yeah.
point. Quick question, and I'm sure there would have been a choice, but I'm very curious to know what the reasoning behind it is. How come you decided to share the lyrics with the promo copy? Because, like, that's one of the things, right? And I have a follow up question to it, but let's start with that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of testimony strategy of like sending the lyrics with the promo copy. Um, I was not sure if that was the way they did it before or like what's their way of working. But I also find this really cool. Like this time, basically, the lyrics I wanted to be also like in my mind to be more focused and like will get more attention basically. Um, because in normal senses, I've talked with bands and they're saying, lyrics doesn't matter, man. It's all riffs and love splits and stuff. I'm like, yeah, of course. I mean, as a musical perspective, but when you were also writing lyrics, you can relate how is the thought process of that other person's mind and stuff. So I find it really awesome that they put this uh, lyrics along with the promo copy so that people can also read and they kind of understand what's going on. It's not a bunch of bravery or stuff. It's like there are lyrics basically. Yeah.
Okay, and I think as someone who actually pays attention to lyrics, right? I found this very interesting quote
Hmm.
where I thought that's why I'd kind of talk to you about it. But basically,
Hmm.
there is a duality to the album Cosmocrator, right? And the press release kind of talks
Hmm.
about that. But before we get into like just conceptually, sticking to lyrics,
Hmm.
where it's like, and I don't know if this is something that you wrote, but I'm just going to quote the press release where it
Hmm.
says that Cosmocrator offers a dual approach to listeners, an easy way to be enjoyed for excellent musicality, but a far more difficult path to take with intricate lyrics and rich thoughts to be analyzed, explored, and discussed for many years to come. Is that something that you had like very clear when you were kind of approaching Cosmocrator, or was it something that evolved as you started working on the album?
Um, I mean, obviously it evolved throughout. Like the more I wrote the songs, or like more I made the riffs, um, I think it evolved towards a concept that I want to make sure that it's easily consumable, in a sense of like a broader audience, let's say, a broader reach. Plus, to those people or like those who thinks they want to know more about the lyrics or like what's exactly is going on, and if I am like successful on creating this bridge between the lyrics and the music. So for them, I put these things to, hey, what do you think? This is my thought, or like this is how the album is actually written. But I also want to know from the people that were I successful about like making this bridge with the lyrics and the riffs or the song structure as a whole. Um, so yeah, I, I basically feel like in most of the cases when I try to write or for this album with the songwriting structure and everything, lyrics came the last. It was like like written after I have recorded everything, the drums, guitars, bass, or every song has a structure and everything is a finished song, and then I started to write the lyrics, which I didn't do it before. So normally I write the lyrics while I'm writing the riffs, but this time I finished everything musically and then the lyrics. So throughout the days, there are also a bunch of personal events that actually happen and which also drove me to write this kind of stuff in what I was thinking on that point. And also like these two books that I've read, and Mr. Christopher Hitchens, he wrote like this particular book, which I really like, from an atheist perspective. And I think I've also mentioned over there, it's called God is Not Great. And from there also I had something in my mind that I want to write about dual identity of an imaginary entity. So however you want to say it. Yeah, so I put my lyricals, like, or I put maximum effort basically to write lyrics to to justify the thoughts that I had in my mind. Yeah.
Okay, so I think at this point, let's kind of give everyone a taste of the album before we kind of dive more into the music and kind of describe it. At this point, you've got two singles out. Um, Take your pick from one of those, and maybe we'll play some more music later also. So you've got the title track of the album, Cosmocrator, and you've got Feated Eden. Which one would you like to play?
Uh, I would go for Cosmocrator basically. It's an
Okay,
easy
and
song, and then I really like it's like kind of fun to play live. So it has the groove. So I really like this one. So we can start with this.
awesome. So if you haven't already heard it, here's a taste of Khnvm's upcoming album, Cosmocrator.
Shadows dead, they are
That was Khnvm with Cosmocrator, and I'm here with Showmik from the band. Now, one of the things I also wanted to talk to you about, right, is the entire concept of the album itself, since everyone's kind of got a taste of the album so far, right? Uh, line that kind of, again, you talked about the duality, and you kind of also talked about the inspiration behind the album, where it is kind of open, right, where you're talking about Cosmocrator being the ruler of the world, or if you're looking at it from a religious perspective, it could also be Satan. So
Hmm.
before we get into the concept, how comfortable are you as an artist sharing something which can be then open to someone's interpretation, and why choose to do that?
Um, so to be honest, the first thing is even though it kind of has religious concepts and stuff that people think that it might be, it's not completely like blasphemic, like I find this thing like, like for example, I'm not just shit talking, just telling an example. Um, Behemoth, Polish band, Christian country, or um, releasing a lyrics video, sorry, album called what? Sheet of God. You know, it's their ways of telling stuffs and like, and so um, I chose to do not similar to this, but more intricate way, or like artistically the wordings are placed in a way that even though you can interpret like this, but it has its own meaning basically. um for me, I think choice or opinions is like very much individualistic nowadays. So as long as people are not directly hampering each other's peace and stuff, I think people should tell whatever they want to tell, but not pressurize and like put stuffs. So yeah, that's my view of like speaking out about things that I like openly. And it doesn't have to be always about hate. Like there are lots of other things you can like always preach in a way. It's not about hate and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's interesting that you bring up Behemoth, right? Because as someone who's like a huge fan of their early work, especially like not only just their
Of
black metal
course.
stuff, but like their middle section, I
Mm.
would say like Demigod and Zio
Oh
of Cult,
yes.
all of those albums, like those are fucking classic stuff, right? And you can't deny that. Uh, to be honest,
Of course.
I
Of
haven't
course.
heard shit of God. I don't know why. Don't ask me.
Okay. Okay. No, I mean, like you put it's sometimes it's like a marketing strategy. Like people
Yeah.
will talk about these kind of things, like um from a band, I'm just saying my point of view, like from a band who is like bringing apostasy and like stuff. I also like Demigod and Apostasy. I think these are the two albums that I really liked. And also like sorry, I think it's within the same album, I'm not sure. But I really followed Behemoth for a long time and stuff, and I still, because I think they are the right now in the extreme metal scene, they're the biggest band. There's no, I think, I say it about like extreme metal scene. They have a huge production. They have a very artistical view, but like the amount of money they spent on like preparing a video, and the amount of effort they put on writing a lyrics, or like naming the song, is like it's not the same. But anyways,
Yeah.
that's completely out of our topic maybe. So I just
Yeah.
carried on because
No, no,
that
fair enough.
that much of yeah, that much of importance I give basically about the lyrics, that I think people needs to uh, write, or studies read basically good words, in a rhetoric way.
Okay, so take me back, right? Because you
Hmm.
kind of talked about this album and like a lot of things that
Hmm.
kind of influenced you. Uh, in the last couple of years, how's it kind of been? And I'm again talking last couple of years very broadly because you said this
Mhm,
album's been
mhm.
sitting on the shelf for like 6 months or so. So what's that entire journey
Yeah.
been like with the album?
Mhm. No, I mean I think the last time when we spoke was like before Visions were released, like our third
Yeah.
album, and yeah, I think after that we toured in the Baltics area. So 6 days we had a mini 6 day tour in Estonia, Lithuania, Latvia, and Helsinki. We have also added this one. It was a nice small tour with Sugi's production from Estonia. They managed all the routings and like our hotels and everything. So it was a very good thing. This was also first time on those areas, so we really enjoyed some of the venues and stuff, and some of the shows. Um, then what? Then again in 2024, I think in April we did one tour in the Balkans and also in Eastern Europe through Gravesteen bookings from Italy. And I think we did a couple of festivals also in Germany, like the Stream Open Air, to name a few. And here is a fun fact: in this Stream Open Air, this is like all black metal, black metal, black metal. But we, out of 15 black metal bands, we were like the only death metal bands playing, and it was like kind of, hmm, okay, we still love death metal maybe, but anyways, um, what else? So after that tour and the festivals, I started writing the songs and everything. And so we tracked the drums basically, and then we tracked the drums first. It was a session drummer called Manuel. He's from Marburg, then plays in the band called I forgot the name. Anyways, I forgot the name in which band he was for, but he's a very nice jazz drummer. And we kind of met and like said, hey, I'm searching for a drummer. Let's, if you're free, you can do it. And he gave time. Obviously, he gave time, learned the songs and everything, and we recorded in one day in a studio from a Pakistani slash. I think now he moved to Berlin. He's called Usama Siddiq. Um, he calls his studio in this name Usama Siddiq Studio. So we just went over there. It's a very nice, cozy, indie pop studio basically. Like, but we turned it into a death metal cave and like recorded the drums over there. Um, and then it was really nice, very friendly and easygoing. One day, 6 songs gone. So it was like really a good shit for me also. Um, and then I started to write, or let's say record the riffs in at my place, my guitars, bass, and then I had some what can I say, personal situations in life. I mean, in this age. Well, it's not about me basically. Like my wife was really sick, and to be honest, I'm grateful to her also, like because she has been with me since like last 10 years, like supporting in all sorts of all my crazy ventures and stuff. So she was very sick, and being one of the most important part of my life, it was really difficult to navigate in the days with work, balancing work and hospital and everything. It was really tough. And like in Berlin, like you were living with friends, but also kind of alone. It's a mixed feelings, I would say. So I felt that loneliness, and also like kind of helplessness, which triggered a lot of thoughts in my mind. And on that moment, basically, I started to write songs. Um, Also there was a lot of negative readings and like negative things that happened, and kind of hampered my whole thought process, you know. And so the lyrics became very dark, even though I wanted to make it more, you know, brutal and like, you know, want to rip off stuff. It will give you the feeling, but it's just kind of makes me numb when I write or read these lyrics. Yeah. Anyways, so this was the whole process. Whatever was going on, we went through line changes like two two times basically. So it's like this.
Okay, thanks so much for sharing as much as you could. I mean, like, trust me, as we're of similar age, I understand it. It gets very, very difficult, right? We're not in our 20s anymore, kind of like free
Mhm.
of like responsibilities and stuff. It always,
Oh yeah,
I think that's
yes.
what
I
I think
mean,
you're unprepared for, right?
mhm. Yes. I mean, you can be badass, like you can be as like rough and tough and like as I don't know, you don't care about the life, people and stuff. You can have those things, but dude, reality is the like, you know, fucking bitch. Like this
Yeah.
will come back to you and strike you in every possible way and say that, hey, there is no escape. You have to go through this in any way. Yeah.
So again, Shomik, if you feel free to answer as much as you want, but
Hmm.
at this time when you're kind of at conflicts, so to say, right, where you've got a lot going personally, you're kind of working on music and stuff like that. What kind of kept you going through this time? Because there has to be something where now you can kind of comfortably talk about this on a podcast like this with me.
Hmm.
Uh, what kind of changed or what kind of got you through this last year or two?
Hmm. Um, I mean, uh, the band right now it's like in a good speed, I would say. It has the momentum. It's going on from my point of view basically. It has a good speed of developing and evolving musically and like also um, other ways. To give you like a simple straightforward answer of this question, like what kept me going, it's like, man, I'm too deep into it, into this making this music, so I cannot get out, and I have only chance is basically to go forward and see an end, or like at least enjoy the journey and come to an end in some point basically. So I thought of like, you know, kind of slowing the things down because I'm in a foreign land. There are thousands of more other important things happening that needs to be addressed with responsibilities and stuff. Um, but for some reason, it just felt like I am just too deep into it. I cannot stop completely. I cannot help myself. So the only thing I can do is just push. And this thought process or mental of like, you know, getting through days in any way, um yeah, it's just making me, you know, I've turned into something, how can I say, it's like only it's not looking right or left or back, it's just front. There is something, a light or something, I'm just walking towards it, that's it. That's what I feel at the moment. So there is an urge, obviously there is an urge of like finishing the things that you have started, or give it a proper finish. So I think the ultimate goal is that, to finish everything what I've started or what I think properly. Like,
No, and the reason I asked that also, right, is I think for a lot of people listening to the podcast, musicians or not, I think they can totally relate to kind of struggles or dealing with tough situations. And I feel this would be really useful uh, to all of them. But moves moving back to the music, right? And I think since you talked about the process being very different this time where you wrote the lyrics, is that an approach you want to kind of take on future releases? Uh, how do you kind of look
Um,
at the process, or in retrospect at least, how you kind of worked on the album?
Not necessarily, um, because for example, I've already started working for another small release. So I have recorded the drums already with one of my friends. He also helped us in Brazil and also doing a lot of our live shows. His name is Julian. He's playing in like a lot of bands. Also, he's a full-time session drummer. So I've already like made 2 3 songs and will make more songs. Um, but to be honest, no, because it was really a one of the darkest episode and chapter. I would say like dark in a sense of like not gruesomely dark. It's like emotionally dark. Like there's a difference, and I definitely don't want to be in this situation, like forcefully or like I never want to be. But to be honest, no, I would definitely change my way of writing. Maybe give some more time to write about some other stuff. But it was, I think, I was being too nihilistic and too pessimistic, and I really want to get out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like it's interesting now that you're already working on the next release, right? Is that
Mm,
you can kind of have a little more objective view of your past work and especially the process itself. It's all about, I think, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but the thing I get from you is it's always about like taking things to the next level, right? What is the next way?
mm,
Constantly refining it and not kind
mm,
of being at there. And when I look at your discography, right, that's where I also see whether it is in all aspects, whether it's the artwork, the music, the promotions, all of that. It's each kind of thing unlocking a new chapter. So it's very interesting to hear that you're kind of already working on new music. Uh, Cool. So this is a part I don't think we did when we spoke a couple of years ago, but one of the segments that I do in the podcast is called "What Are You Listening To?" And
mm.
now that you kind of talked about some time away from the release, and you're already working on new stuff, I know you're an active listener of music and stuff, but what have you been listening to lately? If you can kind of share with me and the listeners, is it like old stuff, new stuff, any bands you want to kind of highlight or showcase?
Yes, I am listening to like in the last 3 weeks, I can say. I'm listening to this band called Charge Barn. This is Dave Suzuki's like super death doom project. I think the only band he's active now. So this band actually, hmm, the sound and everything, it's very massive, and I really like this ultra slow doom riffs, like played in A, and like like making a massive sound and stuff with the bass and everything. So it has all the elements, and it also helps for me to start the day, because I travel to my workplace through bicycle. Like I ride my cycle every day and every morning over there. So 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes, I'm listening to this shit, and like it kind of starts the day in a very very good way. So I'm a big shout out to this band. I mean, if anyone's listening, or you can just check. It's a very huge, very good discography with good albums and stuff. So yeah, that's one band I'm listening to. And to be honest, I don't mix what I listen to what I create. So, for example, if I'm listening to slow stuff, I'm definitely making or like writing fast riffs. and it's vice versa. So I don't want to put other influences come and like when I'm writing or in a writing mode, I just want to make it an isolated me or isolated thought. Um, yes, another band also I'm listening. It's Deathspell Omega. Um, very dissonant music and weird arrangements and stuff, like not conventional. So even though I have objections about the political views that the person or the frontman has, but just an listener, because I'm also am a listener, and then listener perspective, I'm just happy with the music, and I don't want to mix those things up. Um, yeah, so these two bands I'm listening mostly for the last couple of months, I would say. Um, yeah, but I'm not mixing these things with my music. It's completely different.
Okay. That's one Omega, of course, I think everyone's kind of familiar with. If you haven't already heard them, I think they're pretty interesting. Uh, and I don't know, I mean, like,
Yes, yes.
I think just to kind of add a point to what you said, right? That's where I find myself a
Mm,
bit conflicted with the art versus the artist kind of
mm,
thing. With certain bands, I think it's easier.
mm,
With some, it's a bit hard. And I think it's also with bands that you kind
mm,
of have some kind of ties or your nostalgia or memories to, right? But I think
mm,
that's a
mm.
completely separate conversation and a discussion to be had for another day.
Yes, yes, of course. I mean, this is this is so relative. Like this conflicts between art and artist, or like the ideology. It's like you can hate the ideology or you can dislike the ideology that the person believes in. But I mean, obviously, you can also argue that you cannot separate a person from their ideology. It's kind of the same. Like you and your ideology is you, basically. Yes, obviously, it needs a second podcast, maybe a third one to talk about this. Um, but for me, sometimes like I know you cannot always draw a line to divide or like to make differences. Uh, but sometimes like you just want to consume or like have the art and fuck, like don't give a fuck about this artist basically, or what they think of it. Just sometimes you just want to just listen and for the sake of the music, not just any other thing, not lyrics, not stuff, just the music, the frequencies basically. So you can definitely separate frequencies with the person. That's for sure, I would say. But anyways, yeah.
No, no, fair enough. And I think like that's the thing, right? I feel like we also, as metalheads are very, how do I say? Um I'm trying to find the right word for it, but I think we're very conditioned to a certain things, right? Like, or societally also, we're so
Mm,
conditioned to a certain thing. Like, certain things are bad and certain things are good. But I feel there is no black and white. There are grays, and with metal,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
where you're kind of playing in, right?
yes, yes. This is this great thing. I mean, um, unfortunately, it's gray. I would love to have a black and white definition. I mean, it's easier. I mean, human. If you give human the what can I say, the choice of have like choosing from many things, many options. Options is not the correct thing for human. I would say they should have given like strict 1 2 3. You have to choose from their conditions. And that's fine. That's easier to work. But no, we don't work like this way, and the ideologies and things you cannot unfortunately can draw a line and stuff. Yeah, but you can just choose to like do whatever thing or whatever suits you, like whatever you think that will help you to sleep at night. So that's the thing.
Okay, fair enough. And I think we could definitely do, I don't know, another hour or talk far more, and I
Yeah,
think that's
sure,
one of the
sure,
cool
sure,
things.
sure.
Just to kind of wrap up and kind of, I don't know, how much you can share at the moment about your upcoming tours or live dates. Uh, any kind of thing you can share so far?
Um, yes, we have like for this year we have 5 or 6 more gigs, which I want to like label it under release gigs or release shows. It will be all inside of Germany, so this is like what we have confirmed at the moment. But we want to do an extensive promo of the album. It's like we want to for next 2 years. I think I will just prepare the songs or like the next release in the background, but we'll be more active on live, playing live shows. Um, we are working to get tours. So already we have like 3 options basically to tour, but I can only choose one due to my job and like due to my other responsibilities and stuff. So only one tour I can take. So I have to kind of plan it accordingly. Um, this is also one thing. Also, financially, those 3 tours have 3 different finance values, so I also need to think of this. And uh, this is getting crucial, but I think I will get more clarity in the next days, next months, basically. I can tell you what are the plans. So we have a Europe tour. It's a kind of obvious. So we are living over here, so we will definitely do a small or 7-day tour here. Um, I have plans, or I really want to go to Mexico to play for 1 week or 10 days. This is also one possibility. Yeah, it's a good scene, good people, as what I've heard so far from my friends around who are playing, who have already played over there. So, and also I am in talk with Nilesh to have something in Southeast Asia, starting from Dubai and then going to Nepal, India, total 7, 8 days. So I have these 3 options basically, and I have to choose only one due to, as the reasons I've mentioned. So let's see, let's see which one comes.
Wow. You know what option I'm gonna say, but that's me being selfish.
Eh,
But fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I also really want to make the Southeast Asia one happen. It's like communication is now really important, like a clear communication. So this is something maybe we can, from the both sides, we can work on to know what we actually want rather than beating the bushes. So let's see in the next months or next weeks I can try to have some time to talk with these 3 individual entities and like to see what's the best for the band, and also um, finance wise what can be more viable. So yeah.
Yeah, and just to kind of break the stereotype of like, the metal musician, this is like you're the literally the hardworking 9 to 5 guy who's also doing this on the side. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
man.
can imagine.
Yeah, so to be honest, I really want to trust me. I'm saying or telling this telling this here bluntly, that I really want to just have one thing to do in my life, just to play the music and nothing else. But unfortunately, even in the band, you have to be the marketer, the promoter, like the camera guy, the videos and like photos, photo shoot, music videos. Think of this and that, blah blah blah. Right now, while I am talking with you, I am talking with another person, like to fix a van for our tour. I don't have a driver, so I have to find a driver also. So it's like 10, 15 different things happening. But to be honest, I really just want to have my day job. That saves me from everything. I'm very happy with that. And also some just music. No extra admin stuff. I would love to do it outsourced. Like I will hire someone to do it. But it's just too much sometimes.
Yeah, but definitely, I think everyone who's keen and wants to know more should definitely keep an eye out on your social media. I saw that you're playing Nice to Eat You, the festival next year in Czech Republic. So lots more again to look forward to next year, not only this year. But what I mean, we kind of covered what's next from the band. I'm assuming new release sooner than later. So hopefully, we're not talking 2 years from now, but sooner than
Um,
that.
I no, I think it will be around 20. So I really want to continue this 2 years. Every 2 years, I want to have make or release an album or EP or whatever. But the time spent should be not more than 2 years. So if it's an EP, it comes next year. If it's an album, it comes in 2027 or maybe 2028. But it's like this.
Okay, awesome. So, any final words for everyone who's been listening so far and still listening to the episode?
Um, what can I say? I think Peter, you have been we have been in touch for like I don't know, we know each other like 7 years, 8 years, or maybe more than that, basically. And I think it's always I've seen you like from the homicide days. You've been like working on your own podcast, like making interviews and stuff. So kudos to you, so that people like us can actually talk with you and bring our thought process to the world, or like whoever wants to listen to it. So it's a way of like documenting this conversation. So first of all, hats off to you. And what can I say? The album is coming. It's called Cosmocrator, 29th August via Testimony Records, and it has 7 songs, 7 different ways of understanding the life and reality and how we perceive things around us. So it will be nice, and then my pleasure that you guys listen to the song and enjoy having a coffee and whatever, however you want to. But yeah, it will be nice to at least give this band or the song and or the album a try.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shomik. Really appreciate you taking time out and speaking to me.
All good, man. Same pleasure is mine also.
And that was Shomik from Khnvm. Do check out their album. They have it available in quite a few formats: vinyl, cassette. Link as always in the show notes. Before I sign off, if you're a band or a label listening to this episode and want to get your music featured, hit me up on social media. I'm Trendcrusher, or old school email trendcrusher@gmail.com. Lots more coming up. I'll see you all very soon. Cheers.